Hello everyone, my name is Tansonadet and I'm glad that you guys take your time watching this video. So basically this video is all about a problem that most people are concerning, which is environmental problem. You might wonder what actually is environmental problem. Environmental problem is a bunch of problems that impacts our environment and nature. Then you may start questioning, what are those problems? Where do they come from and how much impacts they have on our life and environment. In this video, we will discuss all of those questions all together, so let's get started. So first of all, let's get to know some environmental problems that we have known so far. Those problems include global warming, overpopulation, water pollution, air pollution, land pollution, and many more. However, we are going to discuss only three of those mentioned problems, which is global warming, land pollution, and water pollution. So, let's get to know those problems deeply together.
Hello everyone, my name is Konvir Yud. For today's presentation, I am responsible for the causes and effects of global warming and climate change. So now let's get started. According to the Global Studies 301 textbook, global warming refers to the increasing average global air temperature, caused mainly by the accumulation of various gases that collect in the atmosphere. Average global surface temperature have increased by about 0.74 Celsius over the past century. If current greenhouse gas emission trend continue, average global temperature may rise another 2 degrees Celsius by 2035. Moving on to the causes of global warming. Most scientists believe that global warming has resulted from the marked increase in global atmospheric concentration of greenhouse gases, fossil fuel, and deforestation. So what are they? Greenhouse gases refer to a gas that contribute to the greenhouse effects by absorbing infrared radiation. The prevailing scientific view is that greenhouse gases, primarily carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, accumulate in the atmosphere and act like the glass in a greenhouse holding from the sun close to the earth. The greenhouse effects occur because the sun bombards Earth with enormous amounts of radiation that strike Earth's atmosphere in the form of visible light, plus ultraviolet, infrared, and other types of radiation that are invisible to the human eye. UV radiation has a shorter wavelength and a higher energy level than visible light, while IR radiation has a longer wavelength and a weaker energy level. About 30% of the radiation that strikes Earth is reflected back out to the space by clouds, ice, and other reflective surface. The remaining 30% is absorbed by the ocean, the land, and the atmosphere. Global increases in carbon dioxide concentration are due primarily to the use of fossil fuel. According to the Merriam-Webster, fossil fuel is a generally term for buried combustible geologic deposit of organic material, formed from decayed plants and animals that have been converted to crude oil, coal, natural gas, or heavy oils by exposure to the heat and pressure in the Earth's crust over hundreds of millions of years. Once fossil fuels are burned, they release large amounts of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, into the air. Greenhouse gases trap heat in our atmosphere, causing global warming. Not only fossil fuels that contribute to the increase of carbon dioxide, but deforestation also plays a significant role in it. Deforestation refers to the decrease in forest area across the world that are lost for other use such as agriculture, cropland urbanization, and mining activity. As forests cut down or are burned, fewer trees are available to absorb the carbon dioxide. This is how deforestation and forest degradation contribute to global warming. So moving on to the effects of global warming and climate change. Numerous effects of global warming and climate change have been observed and are anticipated in the future. Global warming and climate change are projected to affect regions in different ways. As temperature increases, some areas will experience heavier rains, whereas other regions will get drier. Although global warming has produced an overall 2.2% increase in the air humidity over a 30-year period from 1973 to 2002. Some regions will experience increased water availability and crop yields, but other regions, particularly tropical and subtropical regions, are expected to experience decreased water availability and a reduction in crop yields. Scientists have predicted that in certain areas of the world, global warming will lead to the extinction of up to 43% of plants and animal species, representing the potential loss of 56,000 plant species and 3,100 vertebrate species. The U.S. Geological Survey 2007 predicts that the entire polar bear population of Alaska may be extinct in the next 43 years. As higher global temperatures melt ice caps, sea level rises, scientists predict that by the end of the century, sea level will rise up to 2.5 feet. Rising sea level poses a threat to coastal population around the world. As higher global temperatures melt ice caps, sea level rises, scientists predict that by the end of the century, sea level will rise up to 2.5 feet. Rising sea level poses a threat to coastal population around the world. Increased heavy rain and flooding caused by global warming contribute to the spread of disease. Flooding, for example, provides fertile breeding ground for mosquitoes that carry a variety of diseases, including fever, yellow fever, West Nile virus, and malaria. With the warming of the planet, mosquitoes are now living in areas in which they previously were not found, placing more people at risk of acquiring one of the diseases carried by the insects. The increase in the number and size of forest fires is also an effect of global warming. In the western region of the United States, wildfire activity increased suddenly and markedly in the mid-1980s, with higher frequency of lake wildfire, longer wildfire duration, and longer wildfire season. Warmer temperature dry out the brush and trees, creating ideal conditions to the fire to spread. Global warming also means that spring comes earlier, making the fire season longer.
Our world surface land is very limited due to 70% of the world's surface area is covered with water. However, some of the land are used and polluted by nuclear waste, soil waste, and pesticides. The rate of these wastes are not decreasing either. It's only increasing year by year. Nuclear waste is the resulting from the production of nuclear weapons and nuclear power plants. It holds a substance called radioactive plutonium, which, if not properly managed, could cause serious cancer as well as genetic defects. Radioactive plutonium takes 24,000 years, which is its half-life years, to be reduced to half of its original radioactivity, which means lands that are polluted by nuclear waste remains dangerous to us humans and to other species for thousands of years to come. But the question of how to dispose nuclear waste safely is still yet to answer. Roughly about 52,000 tons of radioactive spent fuel is the amount of fuel that nuclear plants might have had. Due to some inadequate oversights and gaps in safety regulations and procedures, some of the radioactive spent fuel is missing at some United States nuclear power plants, which leads to the rise of some unavoidable safety concerns. It is easily damaged, which could cause serious accidents like the 1986 Chernobyl accident. Some European nations began to recognize the danger of nuclear power plants and its waste, and as a result, they began to shut down their nuclear power plants. Germany is the first country to begin this trend, and many other nations soon follow. However, only the US has the most operated nuclear power plant in the world. People produce more garbage than before. An average US citizen today produces significantly more garbage than an average US citizen in 1960s, if not twice as much. It does not decreasing either, if not slowing down. An estimated one-third of those garbage goes to recycle, but other than those one-third, most find its way in landfill. The limitation of the available spaces for landfill lead to some states in United States passed laws that impose the limitation of how much soil waste can be disposed. Plastic waste is also another major problem. Just US alone, they generated more than 380 billion plastic bags annually. However, only less than 1% of those plastics are recycled. Some nations, such as the Republic of Ireland, came up with a solution to reduce the use of plastic by increasing the tax on plastic, and it seems very effective. Soil waste is not a singular waste. It's also include discarded electrical appliance and electronic equipment, or e-waste for short. E-waste is one of the fastest growing multiple waste in the US. Much like other waste, most of the e-waste finds its way in landfill, incinerators, or hazardous waste exports. And with roughly 400 million of e-waste have been discarded yearly, only 11% of those are recycled. The problem with e-waste in landfill is that sub its substance, hazardous substance, could leak out of e-waste, which could cause the soil and groundwater to be polluted. Recycling or incinerations those e-waste is not a good option either, since it could harm both the workers and the air. Pesticides are used all around the globe, but it's also polluted food, water, and air that can be absorbed through the skins, swallowed, or inhaled. Some harmful chemicals can be found in most common pesticides. The US banned pesticides, but many of the food importers are still using pesticides. Groundwater supplies could also be polluted by pesticides as well.
Hello and good morning everyone. My name is Song Pratana and I'm going to talk about water pollution. In this part, I'm going to explain the meaning, the cause or the origin of water pollution and what will it affect to life and the environment. Now, let's start with the meaning. Water pollution is the release of harmful substances into the water body such as lake, river and ocean, which make water unsafe for life to use. Water pollution has become a major global problem that requires ongoing evaluation of water resource policy at all levels. It has been suggested that in developing countries, more than 1 billion people, including young children, lack access to clean water. In addition, more than 80% of dirty water is flowed directly into the river, lake, and sea that are also used by people for drinking and bathing. So, what are the causes of water pollution? So in this slide we are going to take a look at the origin that causes water pollution. Let's start with pesticide. Pesticide is a substance that's used for destroying insects that are harmful to plants. While using it gives the advantages to people, it contains a serious chemical that will go into the groundwater or surface water system that feed drinking supply. When pesticides contaminate waters, it becomes harmful to people that consume or come in contact with them. Another cause is sewage. Sewage is a waste or dirty water that comes from the factory or houses. If sewage gets into the water body, it can cause a serious problem to life in water, including fish that humans eat. Another cause is acid rain. Smoke of burning coal or other fossil fuel, smoke from power plant, vehicle or factory will flow to the atmosphere and will come back to the earth in the form of rain, snow or fog. This can make water toxic to prey fish and other animals. As a result, more than 126 people affected by eating toxic fish that caused by acid rain. Another one is oil spill. Oil spill refers to the escape of oil to the sea that usually occur by the accident of human activity. Since 2004, between 300 to 700 barrels of oil per day have been leaking from the side of an oil production platform, which sank in the aftermath of Hurricane Ivan. A research has shown that oil spills at sea are generally much more damaged than on land, since they can spread for hundreds of miles, which can cover the whole island or beach with a thin coating of oil. Millions of lives in the sea had died every time the accident happened. Another cause is vehicle exhaust. Every day, thousands of vehicles moving in every places, and what the cause of water pollution is what come out of the car tailpipe. In there, it contains hydrocarbon, nitro oxide, and other pollutants, which is the ingredient in acid rain that will fall to the waters. Now let's move to the military waste. In US military, the use of firefighting foams to stop fire is turned out to have PFAS, which is a very toxic chemical. When they try to put down fire, the chemical will seep into the underground water and combine with the usable water that people drink. The other causes of water pollution is industrial waste. Water that is waste from manufacturing in industrial contribute to water pollution. So when such polluted water thrown into the ocean or other body of water without treatment, they become unsuitable for life. The last causes of water pollution is the agricultural waste. Agriculture contains a huge problem to cause water pollution, including the chemical from fertilizer that go to underground water as well as to the atmosphere that will result as the acid rain. Now, after explaining about the causes of water pollution, let's look at the effects that come with it. We do know that water is really important to all life on earth. To humans, we need a clean, healthy water. However, because of the causes of water pollution, we are able to use a very small percentage of water in the world. In research, only 3% of world water is fresh water, and only 1.8% of that water is locked up in ice. The other 1.2% is able for humans to use. Many of the water systems that keep ecosystem going and feed a growing human population has become stressed. River, lake have become too polluted to use without treatment. Agriculture and industrial consume more water than any other sources. The prediction by 2025, 80% of world population may face water shortage. For the second effect is health problem. In US, the Environmental Protection Agency EPA warned people about the fish in local water that contaminate with pollutants, especially pregnant women and young children, to avoid eating fish. Water pollution gives a very serious effect to health, mostly in developing countries which are lack of healthy water. In North Carolina of United States, more than 1 million people were exposed to water contaminated. Exposure of the chemical will link to health problems include kidney, liver, lung damage, and birth defect. In developing countries, more than 80% of untreated sewage contaminate to river, lake, and other coastal areas. As a result, more than 2 billion people must use water that pollute with a disease-carrying bacteria and virus because they could not find any other sources of water or healthy water to use for their daily life. To conclude this part, water pollution is indeed a very serious concern because if people keep doing this to water, one day we might not have water to drink or use at all. It is highly important to devise methods to reduce the level of water pollution that we are currently facing.
Finally, we have reached the end of our presentation. So far, we have learned a lot about the 3 problems mentioned earlier. So, thank you so much for watching this video. Good luck and have a nice day.